gym. I gotta eat healthy. I gotta run. I gotta not have sex with my man for 6 weeks. I gotta do all this stuff.
So every time she be like, Pap upstairs, I'm like, but do we want to be? Somebody gotta go do a welfare check on that man. I think she laying.
In what ways has Papoose brought you peace?
It's like he has some experience over me as far as him.
Y'all, this story is not what it looks like, and once you see how all the pieces connect, it gets dark real fast. Because what started as a power couple narrative between Claressa Shields and Papoose is now turning into one of the most uncomfortable scandals the internet has seen in a long time. We're talking leaked texts, hidden timelines, overlapping relationships, and now allegedly footage that 50 Cent is hinting at, footage that has people questioning everything they thought they knew. Because according to what's being circulated, this isn't just about cheating rumors anymore. This is about a private lifestyle that was never meant to go public, a situation involving Tony Rich, and a mystery third figure that fans are now linking into the story. And here's where it gets worse. The more Claressa tries to defend it, the louder the story becomes. The more she speaks, the more people start connecting dots that don't look good. Meanwhile, the man who once built his image on loyalty, Papoose, now looks like he's caught in the middle of something he can't control or won't escape. So the real question is this just internet noise, or is this a slow exposure of something far more complicated and far more damaging? Because once we break down the timeline, the behavior, and the alleged leaks, you might not see this relationship the same way ever again.
When they drop it on the cop of Maserati, pit bull boy, I'm such a fucking doggy, nigga. I'm standing at a table full of bottles.
What makes this situation so unsettling isn't just the rumors, it's the pattern. Because when you strip away the headlines, the reactions, and the noise, what you're left with is a timeline that doesn't quite add up and a relationship that seems to have been complicated from the very beginning. At first glance, Claressa Shields presented everything like it was under control. She showed discipline, structure, and commitment. The kind of image that made people believe she knew exactly what she was doing, not just in her career, but in her personal life too. But behind that image, there were cracks. Small ones at first. The way she constantly talked about how much she had to sacrifice to maintain the relationship. The way she kept emphasizing loyalty, almost like she was trying to convince people, or maybe even herself. And then came the moment that shifted everything. When Remy Ma stepped in. The leaked messages didn't just expose a conversation, they exposed timing. According to what was shown, Papoose was still physically present in his marital home, while emotionally investing in something new. Late-night check-ins. Personal conversations. A level of comfort that didn't look like something that had just started. And then that one detail people couldn't ignore.
We're in charge of he deceased.
He's dead, right?
Slow motion. See what I'm saying? Y'all all some slow motion on the spectrum type females. Like, go on somewhere. What are you talking?
The call. Papoose falling asleep on the phone with Claressa while still in the same house as his wife. And the second Remy allegedly picked up the line went dead. No explanation. No clarification. Just silence. That silence said more than anything else could. Because from that point forward, the narrative wasn't clean anymore. It wasn't about a fresh start or a natural transition. It started to look like overlap, like two stories running at the same time. And just as people were trying to process that, another name entered the picture. Tony Rich. A figure from Claressa's past that, according to her, was already behind her. Finished. Closed chapter. But when his side of the story began circulating, it told something different. There were claims that the timeline had been adjusted. That things didn't end when they were said to have ended. That there was a period, a gray area, where lines were blurred. And then came the visual evidence. Old training clips. Pad work sessions. Appearances that didn't match the single narrative being presented publicly. Individually, these details might not have meant much. But together, they started forming a pattern. A pattern where timelines overlapped, where narratives shifted, and where the truth seemed to depend on who was telling it.
I just don't live as heavy as him. So once again, ladies, I'm going to use...
And then, just as things were starting to settle, the situation escalated. Because when 50 Cent got involved, everything changed. This wasn't just commentary anymore. This was amplification. Screenshots began circulating. Posts that hinted at something deeper. And most notably, the suggestion that there might be footage, something visual, tied to the rumors that were already spreading. Nothing confirmed. Nothing verified. But in a situation like this, confirmation isn't always what drives attention. It's possibility. And the possibility being discussed? That Claressa's private life might include dynamics that were never meant to be public. That there may have been situations involving more than just two people. That what fans were seeing on the surface might only be a fraction of what was actually happening behind closed doors. Again, all alleged. But here's the part that made it stick. It didn't feel random to people. Because by now, there was already a foundation. A buildup of moments, inconsistencies, and questions that had never been fully answered. So when these new claims surfaced, they didn't feel like a stretch. They felt like a continuation. And at the center of all of it was Papoose.
It's 50. Why we here acting like 50 need a reason to mess with somebody?
Right. Because usually there's a reason. There's something that happens.
He gonna troll you tomorrow.
Because now, the focus isn't just on how the situation started. It's on how it's unfolding in real time. After the initial wave of leaks, speculation, and resurfaced clips, people expected things to slow down. Usually, when a story gets this intense, someone steps back. Statements get cleaned up. Narratives get controlled. But that's not what happened here. Instead, Claressa Shields did the opposite. She leaned in. More posts. More responses. More public displays of loyalty toward Papoose, almost like she was trying to reinforce an image that, by now, people had already started questioning. And that's where things began to feel off. Because the more she spoke, the less it felt like reassurance, and the more it felt like pressure. Not just on the audience, but on the situation itself.
Oh, I'm never gonna stop talking about my man. I just brought him his food in the back because he was upstairs. Ain't that y'all joke? Oh, he's upstairs. Just brought him his food. And y'all talking shit, but guess what? Ain't nobody gonna ever make me stop talking about my man.
It was as if every attempt to prove stability was unintentionally highlighting instability. Every declaration of loyalty raised another question. Every explanation opened another gap. And people noticed. They started analyzing everything: tone, timing, wording. Not just what was being said, but how it was being said. And while all of that was happening, 50 Cent kept the spotlight exactly where it was. Not confirming anything directly, but not letting it fade either. Subtle posts. Strategic captions. Enough to keep the conversation alive without ever fully stepping into it. Which, in a situation like this, can be even more powerful than saying everything outright. Because ambiguity creates space. And in that space, the internet fills in the blanks. Now suddenly, it's not just about one allegation. It's about multiple layers. The early overlap with Remy Ma. The unresolved timeline with Tony Rich. The alleged private dynamics people are now debating. And at the center of it all, the same question keeps coming back.
Into this live, and I see so much misinformation. I'm lying, saying that this woman owes tax money. Why are y'all lying, saying that her image is...
What exactly is Papoose's role in this? Because his silence has become part of the story. There are no strong denials, no visible pushback, no clear attempt to shut anything down. Just presence. And sometimes, silence can be interpreted in more ways than words ever could. For some, it looks like patience. For others, it looks like acceptance. And for many watching this unfold, it raises a more uncomfortable possibility. That he might be aware of more than people think. That he might not be as blindsided as the narrative suggests. And if that's true, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a dynamic. A structure. Something that operates differently behind closed doors than it appears on the outside. Meanwhile, Claressa continues to present a completely different picture. Public affection. Long-term plans. Talks of loyalty, support, even building a future together. There are gestures that, on their own, signal commitment, music, symbolism, personal investment. But when placed next to everything else, they don't quiet the noise.
You know what I'm saying? But me and my sister got the same mama and same daddy, and we grew up together. And, you know, she just... You work so hard to make all this money and to have a good life for yourself, and then the people who you want to share it with, they just change.
They amplify it. Because now, people aren't just asking whether the relationship is real. They're asking what kind of relationship it actually is. And whether the version being shown publicly is the same version that exists privately. That contrast between image and perception is what's driving the intensity right now. Two narratives, running side by side. One controlled, one speculative. And the gap between them keeps getting wider. Because every new detail, whether confirmed or not, doesn't reset the story. It adds to it, layer by layer. Until eventually, the story becomes less about any single claim, and more about the pattern those claims create. A pattern that, once people start seeing it, is very hard to unsee. And now, with the tension still building and no clear resolution in sight, this doesn't feel like it's slowing down. It feels like it's heading towards something bigger.
So I wrote this song for you, 'cause our love is true.
And by the time you reach this point in the story, it's no longer just about what happened. It's about what it's turning into. Because situations like this don't stay contained. They evolve. They expand. And sometimes, they expose more than anyone involved ever intended. Right now, the conversation surrounding Claressa Shields and Papoose isn't slowing down, it's intensifying. Not because new facts have been confirmed, but because the existing questions haven't been answered. And in the absence of answers, something else takes over. Interpretation. People are no longer just reacting, they're constructing their own versions of the truth, based on everything they've seen so far. The leaks, the timelines, the behavior, the silence, especially the silence. Because now, that silence is starting to feel intentional. Calculated. Like there's a reason certain things aren't being addressed directly. And when that idea takes hold, it changes everything. It shifts the focus away from isolated incidents and toward a bigger picture, one that suggests this situation might not be as chaotic as it seems on the surface. That maybe it's controlled. Not in the sense that everything is planned, but in the sense that everyone involved knows more than they're saying. That possibility alone has been enough to keep the story alive. Because if that's true, then what people are witnessing isn't just a relationship under pressure. It's a dynamic playing out in real time, one where perception and reality might be two completely different things. And that's where things start to feel heavier. Because once people begin to question authenticity, every move gets reinterpreted. Every post, every statement, every reaction, even the smallest detail becomes part of a larger narrative. Take the way Claressa continues to show up publicly composed, expressive, and unwavering in how she presents the relationship. To some, that reads as strength. To others, it feels like control. Like she's holding the narrative together, even as it tries to pull apart. And then there's Papoose. Still present. Still visible. But not leading the conversation. And that contrast, between visibility and voice, has become impossible to ignore. Because the man who wants to find himself through loyalty and consistency now appears in a space where those qualities are being questioned. Not directly, but subtly, repeatedly, through implication rather than accusation. And over time, that kind of pressure builds. Not loudly, but persistently. Until it reaches a point where the story is no longer driven by events, but by perception. And perception, once it locks in, is incredibly difficult to reverse. Now add in the ongoing influence of 50 Cent, who continues to hover around the narrative without fully stepping into it. A post here, a hint there. Never enough to confirm anything, but always enough to keep people watching. And that strategy? It works. Because uncertainty keeps attention alive. And attention is what this entire situation is feeding on. At this stage, the story has outgrown its original form. It's no longer just about alleged leaks or questionable timelines. It's about how quickly an image can shift, how fast perception can turn, and how difficult it becomes to regain control once the narrative starts moving on its own. Because now, regardless of what is proven or disproven later, the impact has already begun. Reputations are being reevaluated. Intentions are being questioned. And the relationship at the center of it all is being viewed through a lens that didn't exist before. A lens shaped by doubt, by speculation, by the possibility that what's being shown publicly is only part of the story. And if that's the case, then the real story might still be unfolding quietly, gradually, until it reaches a point where it can't stay hidden anymore.